Hello. These are two, well, they're just valve stem seals, but they're for Ford CVH engines. Now, this is your typical Ford CVH head. Um, from this view, they all look the same for all intents and purposes. They are the same from this side, but what we're looking into today are simply the oil stem seals. Now, they only come in these two styles. You have this one, which is all rubber except for this little, uh, we'll say braided stainless O-ring. It's sprung, so it's a sprung O-ring. And these, you simply press onto your guides. You can do it by hand like I did, but really the best thing to do is if you can take a socket. These will always be like, I think 13 millimeter. Put your socket over it, and then thump the end down with a soft mallet, or your hand will get these seated down all the way without disturbing the sealing section. Now there are some cons to this. The biggest thing with these is once you install them, eventually they do get hard. And the issue with them getting hard is they will refuse to stay seated onto your valve guides. So you can see down there, that's our valve guide, and this is our valve stem seal. Over time, this will work itself off the guide, and then someday when you go to remove the valve spring, you'll remove the valve spring and you'll see this. The stem, the seal will be just stuck onto the stem, free floating like this, letting a lot of oil into the guide, in through your intake and out your exhaust. So you'll see a lot of oil smoke coming out your tailpipe simply because those have let go and they're just sitting on the valve stem doing absolutely nothing. Now these, they call them the top hat stem seals. They kind of look like a top hat. And they install much simpler. They simply go down all the way, and then you can either whack them on with a socket, or simply install your valve spring onto it and it'll seat over time. Really the best thing to do is put a socket over this, whack it down a whole bunch. You'll hurt nothing. This metal collar at the bottom will bottom out. And then you have a few things going for you. The inside of this seal, because this top half is rubber that's vulcanized to that steel, the steel cup washer at the bottom, whatever you'd like to call it, it's vulcanized to it. But on the inside there's still a bunch of rubber, and that rubber is shaped like this. It's ribbed on the bottom side, as hard as that may be to see. It is ribbed to help keep it, to help grab the guide and keep it on there. So once you stick that in, that rubber rib grabs the guide, helps hold that on. But also, you'll have the valve spring holding this guy down. So when you go to remove your valve spring, you'll never, ever see this guy floating halfway up your stem, letting oil past it. The only way these go bad is when the seal itself dies. This section up here that contacts the valve's stem. When that dies, yes, you'll start consuming oil. Or if your valve guide wears out, you'll have some slop in your valve, and oil will inevitably go down there because it'll just eat the seal up. That seal, doesn't matter. Any seal you put on there, it's just going to eat up. So you have nasty valve guides, don't even worry about seals, because what you need to do is replace the guides. But that's almost all you need to know. What I don't know is how well either of these work with double valve springs, because the stock ones all only have singles, unless you live in Europe, because there's a few European models that are supposed to have doubles, but the singles look like yay. And they have a bigger inside diameter, which is plenty for the old school oil stem seal. Plenty of room there. And then the spring itself fits around the ring of the top hat one with a little bit of play around it, but not much. Now I don't know if this raised lip, the second ring, is strong enough for an inner valve spring or not. Or maybe there's a version of this that doesn't have the raised ledge. If there is a version without this raised ledge, you want that for running dual valve springs for sure. But I don't think this would handle the pressure of a second inner valve spring. I could see this just deforming, and then the spring trying to pinch all around this because it is rounded pretty good. So that is a few things to take note. But an inner valve spring should clear this guy just fine. But that's the only instance where these would be beneficial. Whenever you replace the valve stem seals, these are what you want. Only ever get these. These little suckers are not worth your time. From the second you start up your engine, these guys can actually start floating on the valve stem seal. And then again, you're just burning oil, smoking it out your pipe. So we'll leave things off of there. That's probably plenty for you guys to think about and consider. If you're already running the top hat oil stem seal, that's great. To remove either of these, you just need pliers. Grab around the outside, twist and pull at the same time. They always pop right off. And then when you put these back in, you want to make sure that the entire area is clean. I'm not done playing with this head yet. I still have some work to do to it, so not bothered with washing it yet. And these are used seals. But yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about these. The added benefit of these guys is that steel washer at the bottom helps keep the spring from eating away at the aluminum head, because it is fairly soft, and these are crazy stiff springs. And high performance ones, or even the stock high output version ones, are awfully freaking hard. Over time they will eat up the head, but run these guys, you'll help prolong that. So best of luck to you.